make it a story so I can put it up on YouTube. So one day I had this lady call me, and she was a counselor, and she said she was very interested in what I was doing and wanted to speak to me, and could I come to her home. So me being naive sometimes, I was excited thinking that this lady was a counselor and she was going to refer some clients to me. She wanted to talk about what I did. So I get in my car after work. I even was dressed, you know, I felt like I was dressed professionally to talk to this lady. And I walk into her house, and the first thing that happens is her dog starts growling at me. And you don't know me, but I'm really very good with animals, and animals usually like me. So that was my first indication something was kind of strange. And she invited me in, sat down on her couch, and we probably talked for about 5 minutes about what I do. And then she said to me, "Do you see them?" And when I walk into someone's home, I've learned that I need to I don't shut myself down anymore. I used to consciously have to do it, but now, like, I just walk in and I'm not all open to everything that's around me because it's too overwhelming, because I see too much. So in this home, I had a feeling something was not right, but I hadn't actually opened myself up to look at what was going on. So as soon as, excuse me, hi, Sarah, we're just telling ghost stories here. So after I finish, if someone wants, or while I'm talking, if someone wants to come on video, that would be great. So I did at that point start to open up my mind to look at the room to see what was going on. And in front of both of us, there was this little girl. I see spirits. So there was this little girl. She was probably about 12 years old. And she was pissed, so mad. She was like yelling at the lady. And while this was going on, all of a sudden, I don't know if anybody's had this experience, but all of a sudden the energy in the room changed. And it was kind of electric, and it was, I don't know, it was that feeling when you're in the presence of a spirit that's unhappy. There's a whole bunch of feelings that you get. You get this creepy crawly feeling on your skin, like goose flesh, and you get a little nauseous, and you have an unreasonable fear. Like there's nothing in front of you that you can see, but you're scared to death. So I had all this going on, but the woman could feel the same thing. So as the little girl's yelling at me, and of course the lady couldn't see her, the woman gets up on her chair like there's a ton of mice underneath her that she's scared to death of. And the lady starts yelling at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're causing this." Well, apparently my connection with this ghost created, I don't know, an opening so that all of this energy, the lady could feel the energy. It was palpable in the room. And so as I'm trying to calm down this lady and tell her that this isn't something, you know, I guess I was a catalyst for it, but I wasn't creating the energy. It was a little girl who apparently, this woman told me that what she does is collect spirits that died violently. She said that to me. This was before I saw the little girl. And she said that she just will all of a sudden come home and there'll be somebody with her, and she knows that they have died violently. This is a true story, I swear to God. So as I was talking to this little girl, trying to calm the lady down and get her off her chair, the little girl was showing me that she showed me she was in a building and there was a window in front of her and there was fire everywhere. Nobody knew she was there apparently, or they didn't get to her soon enough. And you could see the flames all around her, and the water was actually coming towards the window, but it wasn't affecting the fire where she was because there was glass. And so she showed me that's how she died. So as I'm in the middle of this, you know, the room feels extra creepy, and here's this spirit talking to me, and the woman is all upset because she can feel this, you know, this presence that was so strong in the room. It was scaring the crap out of her. So what I do is I tried to take care of the little girl first. And my process when I see spirits that are uncomfortable, are trapped, are left behind, or, you know, I don't exactly know how it works. I don't think anybody does. I don't think that their whole self is still remaining here, but sometimes when people die violently, they don't, they get a bit stuck, or they don't even realize that they're dead, or it's been too long and they can't figure out, you know, that piece of us can't figure out how to get back home. So I go through this process of calling their loved ones from the other side to come and help bring this one particular person who's left behind back with them. So the visualization that I saw when I asked for help was this old-fashioned car, and it didn't, I don't even think it had a roof on it, but it was this old-fashioned car, and they came and they picked her up and they took her away. That's the quick story of it. But the energy in the room, you could see the lady relax, the energy stopped, the girl was gone. And you know, finally I looked at this lady and said, what are you doing? You know, apparently she called me to come to this house, and her ulterior motive was for me to actually, you know, help her with stuff. She wasn't very upfront with that. But so I talked to her for a few minutes, but I couldn't wait to get out of there, because as I had opened up so that I could see everything, and her house was full of people. So as I was walking out, this was one of the most interesting things. And I'm speaking to you, just my spiritual beliefs are very eclectic. I'm not going to say I'm any particular religion, because a lot of religion really drives me crazy, and I don't believe in dogma. So what I'm going to tell you is only what I heard. Sure. Come on in. So what I heard I'm going to wait 1 second. Hi, how are you?
Hello, how you doing?
Good. I'm just going to finish my story and then we can chat.
Cool.
What I heard was, as I was walking out of her door, I looked and asked, what is this? You know, what's going on in this woman's house or with this woman? And what I saw is stories and stories and stories below me of just, it looked like tortured souls. That's what I saw. And when I asked what it was, the word I heard was purgatory. Now, like I said, I'm not a religious person, and I know that word has religious connotations, but it was a very profound, interesting sight to see, as proof for me that people do become, or pieces of us sometimes are left behind, you know, that need to be processed, that ultimately, my biggest thing, what I learned that night, was we have a work to do while we're on the planet before we leave, so that we can easily depart. But the funny thing was, I left that house, came home and locked all my, I live in the country, don't even worry about locking my doors. And I locked all my windows like a crazy person, because I was still so like mumbled up on the inside because of what I experienced in this lady's house. So that's one of my stories. So are you Hattrick or Ramsey?
Ramsey.
Ramsey. Nice to meet you. Where are you?
Scotland.
I
got the tail end of I got this a little bit of your conversation, but you might be interested. You might not be. I've got a scheduled. Sure. I've got a scheduled blab tomorrow evening. Well, tomorrow, which is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 9 p.m. UK time, and it's might interest you, might not. It's spiritual warfare, and it's why do people say they believe in God when they're dabbling with psychics in the dark side? So it's kind of, it might be, probably going to be opening a few can of worms tomorrow night. So I just thought it might be something you might want to stick your 2 cents in, or say something about it. You never know. Just because I was.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Hey, it's always good to have a little bit of a debate on Blab, and to get different viewpoints, etc. And hey, if it opens a few cans of worms, so be it. Hey, it's all part of the fun of having these debates. And
absolutely,
and getting your teeth into some meat is always good. So.
It always makes for good conversation. So, what direction are you coming from in that conversation? Well, like what belief system or aspect?
Well, I'm a Christian. Yes, I do believe in God, and I do. I've not had a few ups and downs, but I don't agree. Obviously, I would say it's more the fact that I've seen a lot of people on here, and that some people will proclaim to say, "Oh, you could trust in God," but then also you're doing these readings and maybe getting these people to try and give them psychics and stuff. And I thought, really, what are you? What do you believe? If you believe in God, obviously, you would expect that God is more powerful and understanding, and you wouldn't need to go to all these things, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of getting the understanding that it's the spiritual warfare. It can be quite a heavy subject, and understanding it. It can be but it's just it's to make it interesting, make it something different. So what do you think?
Yes, I would imagine that conversation could get quite heated in that debate, which I would love. I think that would be fun, actually.
It's all about, I think at 4 p.m. if people are free, hey, go in and have a look and see what you think. If you like it, enjoy it, take your part. We're going to try it. I'm doing it with somebody else, and we're going to get people in to give their opinion and stuff, and take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you all you need to do,
very good,
go to my profile, click on my name, Hat Chicken Ramsey, and it will come up with open a new tab, and you'll see scheduled blabs, and it's on tomorrow evening.
Well, I followed you.
Sure. And
I followed you, so I'll be able to find you easily.
Yeah, sure. It just gives you an option for something if you fancy listening to that and seeing what is going on, you know.
Yeah, I would love to participate in that conversation.
This gives it a bit more. Hey, spice up your Monday evening or your Monday.
Yes, especially a Monday.
Exactly. What time zone are you in? Because you Eastern.
I'm in the Eastern Standard Time.
So it'll be 4 o'clock. So 4 p.m. If you're doing nothing at 4 p.m., come and listen. Take it from there. Be cool.
Cool.
That'll be good.
So does that mean that you have ghost stories or not?
No. No, not really. Not really. I mean, ghost stories. I mean, I'm sure you see all the stuff that's going on the telly, and you see the stuff that's, maybe ghost stories. Not really got any ghost stories. I don't really. Ghosts. I suppose it goes. Could dabble. Ghost stories could dabble into under that spiritual warfare kind of title and stuff. Is there kind of? It could be kind of come under a title of that in a sense, because ghost stories are they really ghosts? Are they what are they? It's going. It could open another can of worms, another conversation quite deeply actually.
Yes.
Kind of, you know what I mean. So it's where do you kind of start, where do you stop, or how far do you go? You know what I mean. So there's a lot of things there. It could be. Well, she's got this Hams that one. He or she's got a ghost story.
You have a ghost story. Cool. I wish you had a camera.
I don't have a camera. They can pop in.
He doesn't have a camera, audio. So do you?
Has he got audio?
Do you have audio? Can you call in with? Can you just call in?
Wait 1 minute.
Can you do 4 units? No, I can write. Okay, we'll be patient. Go ahead and write. I'd love to hear your ghost story, or your story. Maybe I shouldn't say ghosts. Maybe I should say just stories that are a little unusual and not something tangible sometimes. All right, go for it. We'll just keep talking.
I was gonna. So what are you doing the rest of your day? It's now 4:30 here. You're still in the morning, just.
Yeah, it's 11:30 here in the morning, And you know, it's Sunday, and I've been working really hard. I've been doing this business of mine part-time for a long time, but I've just started expecting it to be a little bit more supportive of my financial nature. So I'm working on that. So probably today, next to the bed, probably today I'll be working on my blog and doing a little bit of work that way. I'm a yoga teacher also, so on my site I have a virtual classroom. So I'm setting up different classes.
Cool. You just
and I'm going to go for a walk if it doesn't rain, because my kids and I have been going for walks every day with my dogs and my cat. I have a cat that goes for walks too.
Fantastic. Do you have you self-employed and run a business in the US?
Yes. I'm working on it.
Is your business online? Is your business global or just US?
Well, it's global. I work with people outside of the US to do readings and stuff like that.
Right, okay.
I'm gonna put my website on. See, today's subject I posted as ghost stories and stuff because that's definitely been some of my experiences. But what my main objective is with my website is to help people find health and happiness. So my readings that I do, you can call them psychic readings, are a lot to do with physical and emotional issues that people have that they can't resolve. So what I can do is kind of stick my head into people's energy and see where the pain is coming from and where it originated from, and then I have different things that they can do to help themselves relieve that pattern.
Okay.
So go ahead, you throw your 2 cents in, because I can see you have thoughts.
Man,
I am all up for conversations, whether it's pro or con. Really, it makes it interesting. Hi, Aslan. Did I say that right?
But see, when you say do readings, you're more like well, you'd say you're a psychic, just more of a counselor or somebody who like to profile people.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way to put it. I've been a nurse for 30 years, and I've actually thought at times that I would probably be able to be a very successful profiler because I can read people's personalities, whether they're in front of me or all the way across the world. I have that, I can put my head in there and see their positive and negative attributes. But also the other part of that is when I'm profiling someone, if you want to call it that, I can also see the backside of everything. So when people are when I'm looking at someone and maybe there's something that they, they've had something negative happen, or they have a negative thing in their personality, I can see the backside of why it's there and what happened to create that. And then the positive attributes from the negative thing, if that makes sense. Because say someone was abused as a child and they grew up and they have, I don't know, maybe they're an alcoholic, or, there's something negative that's been created out of this. You can kind of go backwards and figure out a different way of coping with stuff. So it is a form of counseling. It is a form of profiling. It helps sometimes when I have to go out on a date. I want to see who I'm getting ready to see, but honestly, I don't use it for that too much. Because I don't.
Because reading somebody as a profiler, it's not really kind of psychics. It's more looking into the future, technically, in some way or form, isn't it? Not that I believe.
Not really, not for me, because if I'm reading someone that I don't know, I'll see things from the past. I'll see things about their personality. I don't need to even know more than their name picture helps sometimes, but sometimes I'll do people. I'll talk. I do this podcast with someone, and I do readings from people just typing in a question. So there's not many clues sometimes.
Okay. Cool.
If that makes sense.
No worries. That's good. Interesting. I do a podcast as well. Talk about general news stuff, as all sorts of bits and bobs, keep it pretty flexible what you talk about. So that's hence what I'm doing this kind of thing on Monday night as well, to make it a bit more of an open debate podcast. And that's a nice heavy topic to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I'm doing. But
I can't wait. I'm going to be there.
You can subscribe. You can subscribe to it. You can actually. You just go to. Hang on a minute. I'll get you the link.
It's all right. I'll go. What I do,
You should be.
I record the podcast. I record the blab. So when I'm done, I'll go back and I'll go find you.
I can just give you the link just now, which just takes you 2 seconds, and you've got it.
Okay. You just put it in the.
There we go.
Yeah. Awesome.
So you can just click on that and see what you think of that. Okay.
So who else will be involved in this besides you? Do you have someone you work with?
No. I'm just, if you have a look at the blab, you'll see who's co-hosting, and you'll see what, and we'll just do it. And it's all there on the poster.
Okay.
Okay. When I was in, this is his ghost story.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to read this because when someone's watching the video, they don't see the words. They just see the video when I post this later. So I'm going to read it. Years ago, when I was in my bed trying to sleep, I've heard some noise in my room. When I opened my eyes, believe it or not, I saw a shadow of a tall man looking at me like he's trying to find out who I am. I was the only one in the house, and I was then really scared to death. Don't laugh at me. And suddenly he disappeared. Until now, I have no explanation of who he was or what that was. Unfortunately, no one believed me when I told them. Well, that's too bad nobody believed you. I believe you because I see stuff like that all the time. It's very often I'll wake up and my bedroom will have people in it that I don't know, that aren't here with their bone and flesh. So how do you feel? Did you come away after that experience? Did that impact your life in any way? Did you do any investigating, or did you contemplate that experience, or did you just decide to let it go because you were worried, people wouldn't believe you or didn't understand? Give me a little bit. I gave you quite a few. I gave you quite a few suggestions. That you just kind of let it go. Was that what you meant?
Listen, I'm gonna hop off because I need to go to the call of nature. Okay.
Okay. All right. It was great to meet you.
Maybe see you Monday. Okay. Bye for now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for being here.
Bye guys. Bye. Bye.
Bye. People won't believe me. Okay. That's a problem sometimes. We were talking about this yesterday because part of the problem is when we have an experience, sometimes it's so solid and believable when it happens, and then we walk away from it. And then there's times that we even look back, the people who have the experience, and wonder if it was real or not. So can you tell me what I'm going to do is see if I can get a feeling of what or who that was, if you'd like me to, and also if you can give me an idea of how old you were when this happened. And while he's doing that, I notice there's a couple of more people here. Would you like to come on video? Sarah or Aslan? There's obviously seats open if you want to come on. It always makes it nice if I can see people's faces. It makes for good conversation. Thank you. Very good.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I can only see your audio.
Yeah, because how can I say it? I don't use this website often, and I don't know how to make the cam work.
Okay, that's fine. It's nice to hear your voice.
Thanks. Nice to meet you. Why did I join? Because the similar thing happened to, what's the name of the guy? Hamza, happened to me long time ago, twice.
It's so funny. I see myself. I'm trying to hear you better, so I have my face up into the
No, it's okay. It's okay.
up into the camera. No, I'm okay. Super talented. That's great. I'm glad you're listening. No problem. So, do you want to tell your story? Do you want to tell your story just in short?
Yeah, actually, I'm from Iraq. So my grandpa's house was built on a cemetery, a kid's cemetery. That was, I was like 23. I was sleeping, and that's, how can I say it? About 4 a.m., something like that. I opened my eye, and the same thing happened with Hamza, but that black guy, okay, tall black guy. Yeah, I think he's a guy. He was like putting his knee on my chest and holding my head, so I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I start like, you know, this feeling when you start. Okay, pardon, my English is not so good. I'm trying to.
That's okay. You're fine. You're doing fine.
That when you want to say something and your voice won't come out. I start after that.
Were you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, were you awake or were you waking from a dream?
No, I was awake. Like I was sleeping, and after that I was awake because I felt something on my chest.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it was so heavy. And after that.
And that's.
Yeah.
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 I've heard Hamza saying that it's called
Jutham.
Jathon. Yeah.
Jathun.
What does that mean in English?
Actually, I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up just because I've seen pictures of, I don't know if you've ever Googled that situation, but I've seen pictures of you're not alone in that experience. I'm just looking up the English meaning of that just so I can I hate these quiet times.
That's okay. No, because you are searching. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah. I can only find a Bible reference that doesn't really explain. Hamza, can you give do you know the definition of Jotham? Is that how you say it? And while we're doing this, if maybe he'll answer me, maybe he won't, but I'm going to just use my intuition for a minute and see if I can get a feeling of, you know, a feeling of what my intuitive definition would be. Sleep paralysis. Yes. All right. I get it. And that's if you Google sleep paralysis, you will get a lot of pictures of just exactly what you described. And it is that feeling like you can't move, like in that when you look at the pictures, it'll probably freak you out because it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You'll see pictures of people, like of a being or a thing that you can't see sitting on top of the person.
Yeah.
And that's you're not alone in that situation. But I'm gonna take a minute and just intuitively look at what you went through so that maybe I can give you a little bit more information specific to yourself if you'd like me to do that.
No, it's okay. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna have another pregnant pause here for a second. I'm seeing some odd things that one thing I'm hearing is when this happens to people, part of the problem, at that point in your life, do you remember if you were really exhausted?
You mean like tired, something like that?
Like maybe it was
Stress.
a time of your life that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you say like stress?
Stress,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what I'm hearing. It's kind of funny. I'm hearing that. So usually this will happen with someone who's under a lot of stress or under a lot of fatigue from what's going on in their life. So the sleep pattern is disrupted, but that's not discrediting like the actual feeling, like, or the of what you saw, because it's almost like it makes us susceptible to having I don't know what the best word would be, but for things coming in to kind of harass us. If you may have been in a house that there was something not so favorable in, or even just the area where you were, that's what it feels like. Something to do with the area that you were and the deep state of sleep that you were in, and trying to wake up. There was this struggle with. I think that the thing that was with you was probably real.
After I start reading some things, how can I say it? Start to vanish.
Say that again.
After I start reading some things, saying some things in my heart and try to get the words out, how can I say it? It started to vanish. It
stopped, right. Were you in a more positive, were you moving it, like letting go, the stuff that you let go of, was it negative stuff in your life, like negative thinking?
Yeah, that part of time, that was in 2009, it was a hard time for me.
Yeah. So what I've learned is when people, there's different states of mind that tend to attract negative things into our life, including negative, whatever you want to call them, negative energies, negative, some people call them attachments, some people call them, sub-demons, or, what, I don't want to put like horrible negative connotations to any of this, but when we're depressed, when we're super fatigued, when like drugs and alcohol addiction makes us open to attracting negative things into our life. Just like people, like if you tend to be in a place, and I don't mean you, but a person tends to be in a place with drugs and alcohol that they're doing really bad for themselves, then you tend to attract people into your life that are in the same position because of where you hang out or what you're doing. And I believe that it's the same way for attracting negative things that we can't see or that aren't, tangible by the average human being. So, I believe you. And also, Hamza, I want to say this to you also, that, I believe what you're saying, and don't ever doubt your gut and don't ever doubt your experiences just because someone else says it's not real. It's believe in how you feel. And then the things, Aslan, like you're saying, sometimes if you're haunted with negative stuff, sometimes it's important to look at yourself and what you're doing. And if you create a more positive energy around yourself, then negative stuff becomes uncomfortable for the negative stuff to be there. People and otherworldly things.
No, thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks for your advice.
Good. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. And it's a pleasure to meet you. I just want to share and say hello. Gonna go.
Yeah, and you don't have to. I think I'm going to stay on for about 5 more minutes. You're welcome to stay and hang out. I'm not kicking you off or anything.
No, I know. But I need to drink some coffee.
My coffee is sitting on the stove waiting for me to drink it too. But the conversation's been so good, I haven't wanted to leave.
Okay. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you
Hope
too.
to see you soon.
Amy Jo. I was having trouble pronouncing your name, and it's so obvious. Amy Jo, how are you? Nice to meet you. We're here just kind of sharing morning ghost stories or experiences. Would you like to? Hey, Greg, how are you? Would you like to come on video? Greg, you're more than welcome to come say hi on video too. You've been missing the ghost stories. Now we're gonna have all kinds of people. Hey, Isis. That's my daughter, Isis. Can you do me a really big favor? Can you pour me a cup of coffee? Oh God, sorry. Never mind. I made the name of this Coffee and Ghost Stories, and I have a glass of water, not coffee. It's kind of bumming me out. So I did okay. Just careful pouring it because there's grounds in it. So we've been telling ghost stories. Does anybody want to come on to tell a ghost story, or should I tell another one? Greg, I can't see you. I can't see me either. You want to try again? I don't know. I know mine's working because people have been coming and going. Hi. I'm not going to be on for much longer, I don't think, because it's been about an hour. I think I'll tell one more ghost story though, that and I'm going to be shameless and refer this back to my website because there's a lot of information about this on my blog. But one morning I woke up. Thank you. One morning I woke up, and in my room, it was full of people, and I could hear them mumbling under their breath. And next to my bed was this little boy, and he was pointing across the room, and he said, "Go look at the girl in pieces." So that night I was exhausted. I was working nights as a nurse, and I didn't want to deal with anything. So I just asked everybody there if I could come back and revisit it in the morning. So that's what I did. And I'm not going to tell the whole story because it's a long story, but the most important thing, when I sat down and I talked to the boy, and I called this girl in pieces that he wanted me to talk to, he actually gave me a name and a country of where this girl was from, and that she had died horribly by like being beaten up and fire. And the really interesting part was that after I finished talking to him, I do this a lot. When I get information, I'll Google it. A lot of times I'll get information that I don't even know, I've never heard of, but I can Google it and find out that it's a true thing. So this, the boy told me the girl's name and her location, and I actually found her. I found her and how she died, and there was actually an ongoing investigation by her father because she died in Africa, and I think she was American. So guess I'm telling this story because there are some people who doubt the reality of, whether this is real or, and also I had someone on a little bit earlier that was coming from the Christian aspect of saying, maybe what I do is dabbling in things that aren't holy, or however you want to put it. But these experiences to me, and nobody's going to tell me different, are real and useful. This girl that I was told about, the girl in pieces, when I found her, because I believe that I can see when people, where people go and if they're stuck in between here and where we're supposed to go. And I did a lot of work with her about crossing over, and actually eventually was invited back with her to see some of her experience when she crossed over in her healing process.
Hello, how are you?
So I'm good. How are you?
Figured I'd come in and do some ghost stories with you. Sounds fun.
Sounds good. So I don't get to see your face. I just see your screenshot of art.
Oh, this is my picture, but I do webcams and upload videos to YouTube all the time. Unfortunately, because Blab is in beta, it seems like when I turn on my webcam, it'll work for a little bit, but then it begins freezing.
Oh.
Yeah, I got one of those high-powered webcams that I do YouTube videos with, but Blab doesn't seem to like me.
Blab is very temperamental, I've found.
Right.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Brett. So, yeah, I see it says God TV radio show. So what perspective are you coming as? I have to ask.
What do you mean perspective?
Well, I had someone on a little bit earlier that was coming from the perspective of some of what we're talking about isn't of God. So I wasn't sure where your perspective was.
Well, there's some people out there who have the view that if you were to see a spirit or a ghost, you're not actually seeing the embodiment of a family member or a friend or whoever it is that you're seeing. you're actually seeing like a demon who is doing something like that. I'm not sure if I'm a subscriber to that though.
Okay, that's good. I guess that was my question.
How
Not
about
that I
this? This is
mind
maybe
people-
what you want to hear. I'm open-minded to any different view out there. Sound good?
That sounds great. Although I have no definite what I want to hear, because I'm happy to appreciate both sides.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I got to hear your side first before I can do it.
Well, my side is, and this is something I've struggled all along. I don't struggle anymore, but I used to. Growing up in a very Christian family, and also people I've run into doing my work, I did struggle with the whole religious aspect and what kind of protection that I need going into situations that may be very negative. But the perspective that I'm coming from is, my website is called Intuit Health, and I'm about helping people find happiness and health in their life. So as an intuitive, a lot of the intuitive work I do is for helping people improve their health, their physical and their emotional health, and also dealing with grief, because I can do the medium part and talk to people that have crossed over. I can help people deal with their grief and, have a different, because people who have left the planet have a completely different perspective usually than we do. It's much simpler and much broad-minded than us who are here. So I guess that's, and I believe there's good and there's bad. I believe we create some of the bad ourselves. I've seen really disjointed pieces of people that appear as spirits. That's really just the energy of that person that, say they were sexually abused as a child. I've seen, pieces of that person outside of themselves that appear to be kind of scary, actually. But it's the piece that, has been created due to the trauma that the person's gone through.
Are you saying that you have the ability to communicate with the dead, or does the dead communicate through you as a vessel kind of thing?
I would say that I have the ability to communicate with the dead.
If you don't mind me asking you a question, this might be controversial, but let's say that you're actually having some kind of communication for the other side. How are you able to differentiate if you've never met the family members or relatives of the person that's asking you to do the commune? How do you know that it's not something else talking through you and they just has the knowledge of the person?
That's a really good question. I would say 100% of the time, I am not 100% sure. That's an honest answer. Over the years, I've been doing this for about 20 years. I have learned sometimes the hard way to prepare myself before I work with someone, or even before I do my own work, if it's deep, work for myself, to make sure I have different, I'll call them protectors, that I work with, all that I keep with me, so that I believe in intention, and I believe that an intention and discernment. So these are all things, although I am not a dogma religious person, there are definitely aspects of my spiritual self that I protect myself with before I go into a situation. And there's been oftentimes that I may start talking to something that's not here, and countless times I have understood as soon as I start having a conversation that I'm going in the wrong direction. That happens more with my own self-work than working with other people. Mm-hmm. Working with other people tends to be more, for me, I have less harassment when I work with other people's stuff than when I work with my own stuff. working with other people's stuff, doing readings for other people, I haven't very often found that I'm, you know, dealing with information that doesn't feel true. If that makes sense.
You sense whenever someone is giving you bad information.
I feel it. It feels like.
It sounds like the gift of discernment.
Yes, which I have prayed for back at the beginning of doing this. That was in my daily to-do list. It was to ask for discernment, because I don't go into this in a naive way. I believe there's got to be, I mean, there's good and bad in everything. There's dark and light, and that's necessary. But I've made it a point to be able to recognize the dark and discern it from the light, if that makes sense.
Right. Because it's not always, the world isn't always so black and white, just shades of gray.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that gray place that we tend to learn our lessons also, you know, because I think the dark and the light are necessary to coexist together. I have a really strong belief system that nothing happens by accident, and even the bad things that happen to us, we can learn and appreciate and grow from. So that's one of the things, you know, when I'm working with someone, I always try to look at the backside, especially if I'm talking. Completely lost my train of thought.
But we were talking about discernment and how you were seeing the shades of gray between darkness and light.
Right. When I'm speaking to someone on the other side about someone's stuff, they have a better perspective, a more clear perspective, a less, you know, here we're constantly worried about things that aren't even important. And I feel that even the bad things that happen, say you have someone has a parent who is abusive or an alcoholic or whatever, the person that goes through the experience of having that parent wouldn't be the person that they are without having that experience. And I believe that we're here for we're here. I can't believe that we're just here just to hang out until we die. We have stuff to do, you know, and I think our parents or our experiences mold who we are so that we can have the experiences we're supposed to have. Does that make sense?
I hear you. Well, I'm still listening to you, ma'am. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt if you had something more.
No. You go ahead. You take a turn.
Well, I mean, you said something interesting. You said that you have some kind of protectors. I'm not sure if this is people who are working with you or you feel like you have spiritual protection, but don't you ever concern yourself that whatever force or energy you allow into yourself, you might actually be opening the door to darkness on your own self? And how would you be able to get out of it if it gets trapped?
That's a long, as you're asking me that question, I can feel the years and years and years of what I've been through and what I've done. I've worked really hard on being in the right place with myself. I don't know if you just came on, so I don't think we were just talking about sleep paralysis, and there was a couple of people who have had negative experiences in that way. And one thing that's been very important to me that I've found out long ago is the healthier I am, and I don't mean in my body per se, but the healthier I live and the healthier that my thoughts are and my habits, the easier it is not to attract negative things into my life. So that's one practice I've learned. If I make sure my stuff is straight, because I'm very empathic. So when it used to be, and I know this isn't exactly what you're saying, but it used to be when I was working with someone, I couldn't discern who's what stuff was mine, what stuff was the other person's, because I was so sensitive. But as I grew and became healthier over the years and dealt with my own stuff, then that doesn't happen anymore. I still feel other people's stuff, but I know it's not mine. So in saying that, with what you're saying as far as attracting something negative to me that's otherworldly, the more healthy I've become, the more I'm able to discern where I even want to put myself. There's many times that people will ask me to do work that I won't. I have indicators in myself that tell me if I'm around things that aren't positive or that are maybe beyond where I want to put my foot. And it's usually a physical response or a gut response, and I'll just not go there. So I think over the years, I feel pretty confident in saying that I have created a lot of protection around myself and a lot of discernment, or indicators of where I want to put myself and where I don't. And there's definitely, I have had times, I have this one story that I was speaking with a person doing a session with her about, she had lost her baby. Well, she had a stillborn baby that was almost full term. So she was having trouble with the grief. And so I was working with her around that. But in the meantime, there was a little girl standing next to her. And long story short, this little girl that was with her was a little girl who had been murdered by her parents. Her parents were drug addicts. She was only 4 years old. But my session with this person had gone on for so long that I didn't want to have to deal with any more of than beyond what our session had been. So I didn't really pay too much attention to this little girl that I saw with her. But then this little girl was around. She wouldn't leave my house. The person left, but this little girl wouldn't leave. I kept seeing her. And sometimes when I see people who have died violently, I'll see both sides. I'll see, this like pure energy of who they are. And then I'll also see this very frenetic is the perfect words. They show it on TV pretty well, but it's like this weird vibration that creates kind of a fear factor when I see people like this. But then that's where the discernment comes in, because for me, ultimately, this was just a little girl who went through something traumatic. But why I'm telling you this is that one morning, because I kept ignoring her, one morning I woke up. It was only about a week. I had 2 heartbeats in my chest. And I could feel mine and someone else's. And that was the moment that I woke up and I called my friend and I said, all right, I gotta sit down with you again and take care of this little girl, because, she's haunting me basically. So why am I telling you that? I've had experiences of real positive things or not so positive things come through me, I guess. But I work on a daily basis to keep myself protected and keep myself clean.
Mm-hmm. Why would you have? And if any of my questions you don't want to answer, you can just say pass, and I understand. Okay, but why would you? Oh, yeah. Why would you feel 2 heartbeats for? The little girl doesn't have a physical body or anatomy anymore.
Well, she used to, and it got my attention. I have had so many experiences of being physically touched by presences that no longer have skin.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times I'll get electric shocks if someone's trying to get my attention, or I have been pushed down to the ground by something that was not good at all. There's
so these entities have the ability to physically knock you down.
That's happened once, yes.
Then where is the protection?
That was back when I first started all of this and had no, looking back, I tell the story all the time, looking back, I never ever would have gotten myself in that situation. Never. But that was the first year that I started. I went through, several years of, I kind of say it was a dark night of the soul. It was really bad because all of a sudden I went from not even knowing what any of this was to this huge, I was dreaming about what was going on in people's lives. I would walk into a place and I would see everything around me, like all people's stuff, all the people that were standing with them. It was like someone picked the veil up and like threw me in the middle of all of it. So I had a lot to figure out.
Hey, Christine, may I take one moment away to go grab something? I'm not leaving the room. I'm enjoying having a discussion with you. Just need to grab something real quick. A drink. My throat's been hurting.
Sure. And when you come back, I'm gonna wrap it up in a couple of minutes because I'm hungry. I'm hungry too.
You're gonna be chatting still though, aren't you?
Well, not right away. I come on every day. Like lately I've been coming on every day clock. And
Right.
and you can definitely like find me on Facebook or we can hook up that way. But I've been on for about an hour and 15 minutes, so I gotta kind of go pretty soon.
Okay.
But
My
I'm enjoying our
Facebook is BK Rock
conversation.
TV.
Say that again.
My Facebook is like a public page. It's BK Rock TV if you'd like to do that. To be honest with you, though, I randomly kind of browse Blab, but I usually, like every few days, I'll do my own show, announce it on my big YouTube channel, and then I get people coming in. You're more than welcome to chat. I got to warn you, though, because I get a lot of people of different religions, and I also get these people who are called non-believers, and they're aggressive. They love arguing with people who are spiritual, no matter what the religion is.
I completely get what you're coming from. Definitely. And that's why I enjoy, I used to get really riled up about stuff like that, and try to have people understand where I'm coming from or, try to appreciate their side. But I think over time, and I have lots of stories, just like I'm sure you do, that, have brought me to a place where I believe what I believe and I appreciate your side, but it's not going to really impact me. So I'm able to have a conversation with whomever and, it is what it is, if that makes sense.
Christina, my philosophy is if someone really wants to understand where someone else is coming from, it's a little hard to learn things if you're doing all the talking and not any kind of listening. So I
That's
just try
right.
to understand people, and I think that that's the best way to always go about it, whether someone's in pain or they just want to tell you about themselves.
Yep.
All right,
I agree.
I'll be back in a moment. If you take off on me, understand I got you on follow on this thing too, so I can harass you in the future. Sound good?
Okay, yeah, and I followed you too. And I'll watch for you and you watch for me, and I appreciate the conversation.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye for today, and we'll see you tomorrow or the next day. Thanks for listening.